morning, everyone. Welcome to Women's View. I'm your host, Noah Kim. And then now we are here to talk something special with you again. So I hope you do join our table and you can sit together. You can enjoy Women's View, me and Sophie together. For a long time, tourism has been associated with travelers destined for leisure, wildlife and culture suffers. The picture that comes to mind is people basking under the sun and sipping those coconut drinks. However, the definition for the creative business traveler is broadening to those who want to attend a convention seminar or conferences and other meetings. I'll tell you what that is all about, but before that, introduce our guest.
My name is Emma Gituku. I have organized international conferences. I have over 20 years experience in this.
Oh, before asking something, you just say, okay, very experienced person. Okay, no need to be nervous. You just feel free because, you know, like our viewers, women's viewers, they are very good friends of us. They are sitting here with us. We just talk and chat, okay? Okay, good morning, sir. Your name, please?
My name is Duncan Muriuki. I have been in the industry now for 24 years, so I celebrate my silver jubilee next year. And I've been in leisure tourism and conference tourism. Conference tourism, I specialize with it after a while. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Even we're happy to have you here. Okay. Good morning, Sophie.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
I think we have to go for a conference tourism, right? Not just tour, like some very meaningful tour. I think I have to try with Women's View. Okay, let me introduce our topic to our viewers more, and then we'll start talking. Today we talk about conference tourism. I know some of you it's a new word, but don't worry. You will find out what it's all about only in Women's View. As usual, if you have any question on the topic, send them to 8550, and of course we will sample them during the show. So like people, they love to travel. Me, I love. Sometimes I want to go somewhere alone.
Oh.
I tried before. I really like it, but my parents really hate it. They say that you are a girl.
It causes damage to their pockets.
Oh yeah, I know. That I really didn't have money, but I really enjoyed. You know, like when we travel, it doesn't mean that I want to be in very good place. You know, I want to experience every hard things, different place. And then if you say conference tourism is something different from normal tourism, right? Can you please tell us difference between them?
Yeah, conference tourism is basically business travel. The difference between leisure travel, which is what Kenya has been known for, and which constitutes maybe like 80–85% of what tourism is to Kenya, is about leisure. That's you come on holiday, you go to the beach, you relax, you go see the animals. You're basically coming to unwind. Switch off your mobile, switch off your computer. But conference tourism is work. You're coming to work. You are not coming on leisure. But you will have some time later in the evening or after you finish tourism at a conference. So conference tourism is when you come like to Kenya for a purpose and in the course of your work. So you're coming to meet and to deliberate and to work. You could be maybe for Coca-Cola, working for Coca-Cola, and you're coming from all over the region. So you meet here to work. You could be doctors who are trying to discuss some new inventions. You come and meet, you deliberate during the day, so you're working. From morning, you're working to evening. In the evening, you get to go for dinner. You finish the conference on Friday, you go to Masai Mara. So that is conference tourism. You are coming to work. It is a necessity, it's not an option. It's an option.
You know, like you are saying that you are organizing the international conference, right? Are you organizing in Kenya only or other places too?
Mainly in Kenya at the moment, but also in other places. But essentially, just as Duncan has said, it means people come in for a particular purpose, like professional associations, researchers, people who have got something to share. It's a global concern. They agree on a theme, sometimes years in advance. And then they come together. So you have all these, sometimes 1,000 people, 330, and they come together to discuss what is important for them. So the main thing is the program, the topics they want to discuss, the research findings they want to release. And then if they have time, then they do a little bit of leisure tourism. So it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Of
And
leisure
conference tourism is,
So it's not
very
only
organized.
working, right?
It is not only working.
Yeah.
We encourage it not to be only working.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like actually I've been in Kenya, it's very short time now, 5 months, I completed 5 months. Ooh, makapi to me. I finished, I completed 5 months. And then I realized that here is a really beautiful country.
Oh, yes.
So like, especially today we want to talk about conference tourism in Kenya, right? Because we are living in Kenya.
Yes.
And maybe Sophie, I think you also agree with me, as Kenyan you really love your country, right?
Kenya is beautiful.
Oh, Kenya is really beautiful. Did you watch Lion King?
Yes.
I watched Lion King more than 30 times when I was 9. From that time I watched it. And recently I watched it again. Again, I was astonished, you know, like I'm living there, you know, I'm living there. It's really nice. And then especially like foreigners, they have a conception that Africa is like jungle.
Tarzan.
So, yeah. Everybody will be like Tarzan
get
and
that.
Tarzan's girlfriend, you know.
Yes.
But when I came here, I realized the African people, they are like most fashionable people. They really care the formal dress, you know.
Yeah.
Like foreigners, we just wear a very casual, but African, they really love formal. And they really love conference. They really love set something association. I could see that. Recently, I was invited some meeting. I never imagined it's like a kind of forum or conference. I just went there to have tea, but they just made it conference. So we just all sit together, and it was 2 hours conference, and it was very well organized. I was really shocked, and the coffee was really nice. So here, people, I think they are very good at, you know, organize something.
Yeah, Kenya is pretty advanced in tourism. Like, actually, Kenya was and has been the leading tourism player in Africa. Even South Africa, who may have the numbers in terms of tourism, started importing labor from Kenya, you know, skilled labor from Kenya after the independence. So Kenya is very advanced in tourism, and our people are just generally very, very warm and very hospitable. That's why you see everyone smiling and saying jambo, and as you say, you know, they also have good taste. They dress well. The British, I think, whom we inherited all these habits from, taught us how to dress well. So
you know, Sophie, in the street, when I meet Korean people, we don't greet each other, frankly speaking.
Yes.
I see Korean people, oh, she's Korean, but we don't greet each other. But Kenyan, hi, jambo. Then I say, oh.
It's our culture, African culture. That's why, you know, when it comes to tourism, we just blend naturally.
I heard that it's ranking 4 or 5, something like that, for tourism. I heard like that.
You know, you'll be amazed. I was reading some very pleasant news. Kenya has improved. In 2010, we were number 4 in terms of conference in Africa. We had South Africa leading.
I'm proud of myself. I know something. Okay.
We are you're there, but you've been overtaken by events, because 2010 Kenya was 4th, Egypt, South Africa, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco.
Yeah.
In the last year, the year before, last year we improved. Now the latest figures from ICA is the International Conference and Convention Association. That's the umbrella body that basically like judges and say this is an international conference. Kenya was rated 2nd. So we are 2nd. In fact, that's a breaking news I was reading as I was.
2nd.
So we have reason to smile.
We are living in ranking 2nd country.
Yes, that's in conference tourism.
Conference
And
tourism.
you know the beauty about that is conference tourism is the fastest growing subsector in tourism. And that's where the money world over is in tourism. Because in conference tourism, you don't use your money. You're paid for by your company. So you don't have to start saying, oh, I can't afford to stay at the Norfolk. You're paid for. So it is not your pocket money, it's not your disposable income that is being tented. So conference tourism it is business. So companies who send you to do business are not,
nice.
So it is a growing.
You know, Duncan, would you please give any term to Sophie? Because she wants to say something, but she's waiting for you.
Yes, okay.
I'm listening to you talk. I'm not even getting
It's an exciting topic.
But anyway,
I feel already
she
excited.
began by saying that many Kenyans, when they hear the word tourism, the first thing that comes to mind is someone maybe in Malindi or maybe someone in Masai Mara.
The beach, yes.
Yeah. So with the conference tourism, how long has it been there? Like, you saying it's now 2nd.
it's ranked second. Kenya is ranked second in.
Yes.
So how long has it been there? Like.
Okay, conference tourism. Kenyatta Conference Center was built in 1972 for conferencing.
Before I was born.
Yes, for conferencing. So the founding father of this nation saw the wisdom in investing all that much. A huge structure for conferencing. So what does that mean? There was a need. There was a need to build that structure.
Okay.
Conference tourism has been not only even before Kenya became independent, because even the Western world were meeting, you know, to go on with conference tourism. In Africa, it's just that it just grew by default. Kenyatta Conference Center was built, but you know, it ran down. It's only when the new government came in, revived, and that's when now conference tourism, you know, was reloaded. And that's when Kenya now started, that's why all these numbers started changing. So conference tourism has been there since independence.
And also you realize that a lot of the hotels, every other leisure institution or facility has got conferencing and seminar rooms. It's a question of how big those are, but the concept that people meet together, people will find this need, has always been there. Yeah.
And to add on to what you're saying, you look at the hotels that are coming up in Nairobi. Tourism, you know, $1 billion, aiming even for $2 billion even. The space available in Nairobi is more than what the tourism leisure travel can meet. So why are these hotels coming up? It's targeting business travelers. So conference tourism is actually the way to go. That's why you see all these many hotels coming up in Nairobi. Because the bed space is more than can be met by the leisure travel.
That's very true. You also find that a lot of leisure tourists have to save a couple of years before you can take a holiday. But with conference tourism, just as Duncan said, you have organizations that are quite willing to pay.
The company pays for that.
Not just companies, even the big foundations, the Bill and Melinda Gates, Ford Foundation, Rockefeller, a lot of them really just say, we want to gather people to talk about X, Y, Z. So they'll pay for that to enable these professionals to come together, to enable, I've been involved in conferences where we fly nurses from really, truly the farthest ends of Eastern Africa to come for a tourism. They would never have an opportunity to visit Nairobi. But then they come here for 2-3 days, and it is very different. You change their professional capacities, you change their worldview, and many of them have not been trained since they left university or colleges 5, 6, 7 years ago. And they've been in a backwater hospital, you know, a district, sub-district hospital. Then they come to Nairobi, and that opens up their worldview, their thinking, their tourism opportunity. And like we said, what we do is we have the pre-conference tours, so you can come and have a safari, go to the national park, visit the museum, for instance, before or after that. And we also arrange things like a cultural dinner. Like the carnival is a favorite. So then that they have a taste of Kenya.
Before.
Yeah, you see, it's really amazing.
I tried.
Yeah,
I really like
all
it.
the meat.
When I came here, I wanted to experience something very new. So the time, like normally we never eat camel, crocodile, those things, right? But I tried everything. I tried everything. But you know, I feel like it's just eating, we might think, but
no,
that
it's
is
the
different.
experience. It's a
It's
total
like
experience.
That time we had some group. We were discussing very important thing. But after opening my mind toward Africa, like I was just, you know, every work, it's not like headache. It's like something, you know, together with tourism. I think it's a very good idea.
One of the things that we've also done, I think at the end of a long day, because it's really, they come to think and they come to present and they come to write reports, we brought in the Maasai market. And then that was bringing the taste of the culture and the fabrics and the jewelry, a bit of that culture into the conference venue. So then instead of having to take them out there, they were able to experience a little more of Kenya and buy from the local products, the local crafts. So that way you're actually doing a whole lot of things at one go. So conference tourism allows you to do that.
Okay, you said like it happens in, let's say, Morocco, South Africa and all that. Now, Kenya, what makes Kenya a bit special, apart from the safaris and the KICC you've now talked about? What makes Kenya a suitable place for someone or a player?
Oh, interesting. That's a very good question. You know, Kenya has the weather. You know, the climate here is just God designed the world with Kenya.
Best climate
that was what God made on a Wednesday. When he had made all the others, he had polished up his act. And on Wednesday, he had perfected and he made Kenya because the climate is so ideal. So we don't have these winters that are so biting. So we are all here. If you look at one of the leading African destinations in terms of conferencing is Durban and Cape Town. The weather during winter is not that good. But because they build nice convention centers, as they say, when you build it, they will come. So they come. Now, Kenya has the weather, and it has KICC convention, the Kenyatta Conference Center. It has the bed space that is increasing. But Mombasa, for example, which does not have a really huge convention center that can house thousands, if it came up with a convention center, South Africa will not see us. We have excellent weather, the beaches, the wildlife. People who decide where they are going for a conference also look at the other extra activities that we'll do. What do they do after safari? I want to go on safari. The migration is taking place in the Mara now. You know, we have conferences like we have one coming up in October. Why reason people are coming up? People actually decided to come because it's migration. They're being paid for, but now what they're saying is that I will actually take my spouse to come to Kenya. Yes, because they're being paid for. Now they tell their spouse.
Oh,
you know,
for that someone is able to even carry the family and come.
Yes, because your room is free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your room is free. You come with your wife because you've been paid for.
Yeah.
So all you do is you will not have to pay for your ticket.
But she will pay for it.
She will pay for the ticket, but it's cheaper than when the two of you are going.
Oh,
So for Kenya, the wildlife that we have, the beaches down at the coast, the culture, you know, people just come and they want to integrate and see how we lived several years ago. Even other other people from Africa. So Kenya is ideal for that. And then, of course, there's a government conscious effort to promote conference tourism.
Yeah.
And there's also the Kenya's positioning in the East African region, because we are a regional hub that also attracts a lot of people. The stability, our positioning itself enables people to fly into Kenya, and then you can do Uganda, Rwanda, Somalia.
Is like door to Africa.
Exactly. So you're able to do a whole lot of things. And you do have a lot of people who come in for conferences and then actually stay on to have meetings and fly within the region to look at company progress, to look at growth, business growth, for example. So Kenya also has that in its favor.
And the IT as well. We are very good at IT.
Everyone, actually, we have a short interview. It's waiting for us. So you can give question after interview. Okay, let's watch the interview together.
Conference tourism is one of tourism subsector lead revenue generators for many destinations worldwide. This has accelerated change, economic growth, and the product development to embrace emerging needs, making the tourism sector largest contributor to the gross national product globally. Africa has its share in conference tourism in the world. With its perfect weather condition, it can hold conferences throughout the year. In conference tourism, South Africa has been the most popular in hosting meetings in Africa, followed by Egypt, Tunisia, and Morocco. Kenya takes the 4th position. Facilities for conferencing are being developed with time, and this in mind, many first world continents are preferring Africa as a conference destination.
I've come to many countries in Africa, but when I landed in Nairobi, Kenya, the first thing I felt at home. As much as I heard a lot of things, I walk around Nairobi any time of the day. All right, I love the people, I love the city, and it is the hub, all right, for Africa as far as I'm concerned. Okay, South Africa is very far away. This is where things are happening today. United Nations is here. I've met with the Malaysian ambassador, all right, and he's also seeing a bright future for Nairobi. And the Kenyatta Convention Center, as much as it was established in 1973, has provided us with an amazing platform for our event.
Kenya has played host to a number of high-profile conference meetings, that is, ICASA 2003, AfriCities, COP12, the Climate Change, Qatar Conference, the V-African Conference, just to mention but a few.
Now the last day of the conference, very successful conference, with over 3,000 people that have come through our own hands in terms of accommodation and transport. We have been involved with the accommodations for the functions like welcome dinner, welcome cocktail, the farewell dinner, what special dinners to have, how the transport should operate, taking them to the airport, reconfirming the flight. So we're basically a one-stop center, one-stop shop.
For a long time, tourism has been associated with traveler destined for leisure, wildlife, and cultural safaris. However, the definition for this creative business traveler is broadening to those who want to attend conventions, seminars, and conferences, and other meetings. And players are saying that there is need to give this rapidly expanding line of business a big thought. in developed economies that have a sizable cake of conference tourism, professional congress organizers, PCOs, or companies specifically designed to take care of this specialized market ensure that these conferences are trouble-free from a logistics point of view. These are companies that are more than just the basic tour operators / travel agents. One such company is Destination Africa, DMC, a destination management company holding an expansive experience as masters of conference tourism, with its staff having handled most of the conferences mentioned above.
Oh, welcome back to Women's View. After watching that short interview, I found someone I know. Did you see your friend?
A younger someone.
In my younger life.
You know, when we listen about conference, it's like, it's because I'm foreigner, right? Of course I'm going to be Kenyan, but I feel like, suppose I'm working in a company, and then we are saying that we have a conference in Kenya.
Yes.
Something very exciting, you know. I would really love to come here. And then when I just went to National Park, why I was so attractive, not because of safari. Of course, safari is very attractive. I really enjoyed to see Simba. Why I like this safari very much, because when I enjoy safari here, I can see Nairobi city there. You know, all the buildings and all. I can imagine in the Nairobi city we have a safari there. It's very attractive, you know. I will just enjoy my work very much. And then before the interview, I mentioned that, you know, those who want to visit Africa, in many countries that are in Africa, they have to pass Kenya. And then recently, Korea and Kenya, we also have direct airline. So maybe like Kenya will develop so much. Already it's going on. But I want to mention again, like it's like entrance of Africa, especially center of East Africa. And then they mentioned about conference hall here, Kenyatta, and then this day like Safari Park Hotel also people, and there are Hilton Hotel. It shows that I think many good places are there.
And the bushes as well, out in the field, many conference centers.
Yeah, I'd love to have conference there.
No, it's crazy. Anyway, you're talking about development, and this brings me to the question I wanted to ask before we went for the break.
Yes.
Like you say, you've had so many conferences in Kenya for the last few years.
Yes.
I'm looking at it like, how does it benefit Kenya? Like all those conferences. Of course, we'll have people coming, they discuss whatever they want to discuss, but what benefit does it bring to Kenya?
Let me start by looking at personal experiences. First and foremost, you know, is the international fusion that it brings to Kenya. It brings people from all over. The conferences will bring people from Brazil, from Iceland, from everywhere. So we get to interact with them. So we get to expose our country. So it brings in the revenue. It's good for our tourism because they do not just meet. They go out to carnival, they go out to dance, they go out to safari park, to safari, to, you know, to go out and enjoy the game park. And they come back again with their partners or their relatives. So it brings up the economy. Not only to the organizers there, but to the multiplier effect of a conference is unbelievable. Because the taximan benefits, the guy who is running car taxis, the curious owners benefit, the restaurants people benefit, the people selling cabbages and what benefit because they need to eat. When we had the big conference that was there, was shown there were 7,000 people. We booked every hotel room in Nairobi all the way to Junja because the Nairobi was full. So what does that mean? We have 7,000 people, taxis are busy. Sorry, even the night girls are busy. Everyone is busy. The whole economy is vibrant. So everyone smiles. And that's what there's another conference that also we handled, a COP12, which was UN-based, with, you know, close to $1 billion shillings ejected into the economy. Now, what's that? Within just that one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing is also at the local level, because you have to outsource a lot of activities. So you're actually dealing with different companies bringing in these things. And then the skills are improved within the small businesses that we work with. Because you have somebody providing the audiovisual equipment, another person provides the badges, another person. So all these different people coming together are are actually going to earn something. But these days, one of the things that interests me is there is an increasing request from international-based organizations to deal with women's groups. So they ask you, make sure that the conference bags, for example, are made by a women's group. So you look for a women's group in Machakos, in basically Ukambani, or in Suba, for example, or somewhere in the depths of Kajiado, a women's group that's going to make the baskets. So that, again, you're not just targeting in Nairobi, but we are filtering down to the women's groups. Even in the informal settlements in Nairobi, you find people want things from them.
Because this is the women's view, I think that is a very good news, and it's really nice.
Yeah. That's what even I wanted to ask her now. Like, you've told me how, like, few women can benefit from that. Now, I'm looking at you, this is a very demanding job, and you're a woman. How do you manage it?
How do I manage? I think one of the things you learn to multi-skill, because on top of being a woman, I'm a wife, and I have 3 children. And so it's a question of, I think my family has also learned to figure out the conferencing, because as the conference comes to a time, you tend to forget these other bits of your life a little bit. But you put the best of everything into it, and you have to learn to multi-skill, and you've got to learn to also to mentor other people, so that as you go along as a woman, our nature is to nurture other people. So you look at training other women, you look for other women you can involve. You look for example, the case of the women's groups
So
that
it's
would
becoming
be
like women's group.
So you look for a multiplier effect, as Duncan said,
And I
so
think
that there's
one
women.
One
raise
thing
one
she's
another
not
up.
bringing out, because maybe she doesn't want to blow her own trumpet. I think women are very good delegators. I've had the opportunity to work with her. You know, sometimes as men want to like do everything. You know, they're very good delegators in terms of saying, you know, that. Because when you're handling a conference, it's not a one-man show. It's not a one-man show.
Exactly.
So you cannot afford to be there up to midnight. There's somebody who is well trained to look
men
after
can't
them.
multitask also.
We're so bad at that. We're so bad. But you see, the advantage is that she'll get somebody says, your work is to look after these clients up to this time. So, you know that person is trained to do that. And which brings me to the next question. You asked what are some of the advantages, what has been brought by conferencing. One of the biggest, I think, assets or the things that have been brought up is the training that we have had to receive. You know, these conferences have had to sharpen us. I've been a tour operator. I've handled, you know, the finest of the finest, tours, from those millionaires in Concord. But when it comes to conferencing, when it comes to conferencing, yeah, talk to me. But when it comes to conferencing, you have to go a notch higher than just handling those tourists. This is not just looking after Mr. and Mrs. John on honeymoon. Conference tourism is very finesse. It's very polished and very organized. You cannot, the clients are so demanding. So we've had to up our skills. I mean, 24 years I've been doing this, and I'm still struggling to perfect it, because conference tourism requires you sharpen your skill. It's a specialized niche. So we have been brought that sometimes we partner with our friends from South Africa, who have come sometime with this, like who have had some of the convention. So we borrow from everyone to perfect it.
Were you trained to talk
a lot? He's a marketer.
I mean, you were trained, or you were originator.
I have a passion for these lines, so I just find myself just...
I can feel passion so much.
That's the problem with conference tourism.
Like Sophie...
It's infectious.
It's very infectious.
Okay, let me talk now.
Yes.
Just take a rest, drink water. Like when I invite here guests, I feel like there are so many different people here, so many different jobs, so many different characters. And then me and Sophie always we are attractive, Oh yeah. But I think I never imagined that somebody's managing this conference, those people I can meet. But finally we meet today. I think, oh, nice to meet you. Anyway, it's like a conference. Managing conference, organized conference doesn't mean that only just organize meeting. You have to be very aware of culture and trend, like everything, I think. You have to know everything about, Kenya and those people very well.
Exactly. It actually keeps you on your toes, because conferencing tests your every skill.
Update yourself always,
you have to, yes. And that's one of the things that I have a passion about, is bringing international standards into Africa and into Kenya, to be more specific. So the fact that it is held in Kenya does not mean that our standards have to be low. Because one of these finders, one of those delegates is going to fly out and represent Kenya, represent the government somewhere, and we don't want some embarrassment there. So my passion is to make sure that every delegate has an amazing experience of Kenya. And so the international standards we bring in is it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you need to have an international experience of the conference.
So, like when you're organizing this conference, like you said, there's a first part which is the business part. People serious, people talking about business and work.
Yes.
The second part, they may decide to have leisure, or does it come as part of the organization? Like when you're organizing, does it come in two parts? Is it a whole package, like the leisure part and the business part?
What you'll definitely have is, let's look at the business part, for example. They come in for 3 days. Within those 3 days, you have a conference dinner. And that dinner is usually a showcase of Kenya or carnival experience, something.
It's a themed dinner.
There's a themed
You have
dinner.
to show something
You have to.
Kenyan
in
version.
short time.
Yes. And then we also give them time to go out shopping. And usually we target the shopping to the Maasai market. So within that business, 3-4 hours of it, you still experience a little bit of Kenya. And then there's the leisure bit, which we tag on. So we do a lot of pre-conference tours, encourage people to come in 2 days before, then they take a safari. Or stay on 2 days later and you take a safari.
So it's
But there are also some, depending on the nature of the conference, that you can build in.
You can build it
part
in.
of that, where you say the whole afternoon you're going to Nairobi National Park.
Yes.
Another one which we handled for Kenya Revenue Authority, one of the activities was a full day tour to Nakuru.
Oh.
And it's included.
Yes.
So it is actually a program.
It's
You're told
part
you
of the
have to do
program.
this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, like he mentioned already before, but I think if I just attend your conference, I feel like I want to come here again with my boyfriend.
That's
Or-
the idea.
Yeah.
That's
I think
that is
very
that's
good.
what we want to achieve.
That's
And
the
then
idea.
this time I came for work. When this time I just want to come here and take a rest here. And then because of, like you make me like come back again. I think
Yes.
that is very good. That's why Kenya now is very popular in tourism.
And what we try also to do, just as Duncan mentioned before, is to come up with an accompanying persons program. So if Duncan prefers to come with his wife, then if he asks me, what if I come? Then there is a program. So she will not be bored, you're taking too long. No.
You
there's
take
something
her
for
away.
to
For
do.
wife
Yeah.
also.
So there's something for her to do, for the family to do, and you think it through. So they're also engaged and they come back
Then
at the
I
end of
just
the
hope
day.
that not me, later my husband would go to conference tour and I can go together. I can enjoy my program. Okay,
Yeah.
I think it's very good. Kenya,
That's a place to go.
we have some SMS. I want you to answer for that. Do you have a training programs in the conference facilities? Oh,
Do you have a training program?
training. Oh,
Yes, okay. When it comes to training, what we've had to do ourselves, because like we've been engaging with Italy, you know, the conference tourism fraternity, we've been meeting and we've been trying to get Italy to introduce a training program for conference tourism. I'm not sure whether that has taken off, but that we've done. What we've had to do is do in-house training.
Yes.
Ourselves, using our years of experience, we meet every time before a conference. We brainstorm several days and say, this is how we'd like to handle this conference. Every conference is slightly different. So we have manuals for every conference that we've done, and we borrow from that. We polish up. We travel, we have seen kind of conference, we borrow from that. We say, what do you use for that? So we do our own in-house training, because you cannot just handle 4,000 people without training. Here you'll be walking into disaster. So yes, that is there.
And I also want to add to that, that's the same thing that I do as well, is take the team and you train them. And you go on site and you train, and what you do is a dry run through the whole program. But for me, the most fascinating I've ever done was a conference with the World Blind Union, where we had to retrain everybody to handle visually impaired participants. And these were 400 of them. So we trained the whole works, from all the hotel staff, through the dining room, through the kitchen, through the housekeeping, to the conference volunteers, the assistants. Everybody went through training. So yes and no, there are some training facilities, but it is not, as a country, as an industry, I think that is still lacking, and it's something we need to get into.
you know, Sophia, it's really, she has to think so many things, especially, you know, many people are coming. What about their fooding
Yes.
and lodging, you know?
That is why, to be a good conference tourism operator, you must have done all the basic hospitality, you know, like being like what for 20 years, she's done that. So you kind of are taught by experience
Yes, absolutely.
how to take care of all those other little nitty-gritties.
I'll give you 2 examples that are really the little nitty-gritties. Somebody came, is the president of this association, and she says, the pillows in my room are too hard. So, exactly, and she calls the secretary and says, the pillows are too hard. Would you do something with the hotel? And the other one is, some of these questions you can only ask a woman. Do you have a toothpick? So, you know, things that you really have to think about. But also going back to the other bit, as a conference organizer, as a woman particularly, you think about the majority of conference delegates are men. So you have to think about these men. And they come in with all who they are, their egos. They're men, they are CEOs, they have a driver, they have a wife. They have the catering assistant in the office who not only pours his tea but stirs it.
And the other conference too.
Exactly. So they have something to compare with. So you can't just talk to him just because he's flown in. No, you really attend
so you
to
don't
each
go
one
as far
specially.
as warming their bath. I hope
no. Absolutely.
Okay.
And we train our assistants not to go anywhere near them.
No. They should come with their spouse.
Spouses do that very well.
Like you say like it's not just about Destination Africa only. Of course, you can't handle the whole of this alone. Do you have maybe other people you partner with?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, when it comes to conferencing, we specialize. I specialize with logistics. I don't touch the events part of it. She does the events. I don't do events.
So not only you organize everything.
And then when they need somebody to do PR and fundraising, and I don't do that, but I will bring in a resource or I partner with other people in the conference tourism fraternity. We are many of us in terms of what skills we provide. So I will reach for that company that provides that because I can't do it. I don't do the events. I don't, you know, like audiovisual.
But
I don't
you care that too, right?
I do?
I mean, even though you don't do everything like very specifically,
yes,
but you do care, right?
Oh, in fact, it's in my interest to get the best to do that because I want the conference to run well because I am in charge of the logistics, getting people from airport, accommodation, the food they eat. So if I don't do my area well, what she does will not work out well. So we have to partner with people as a consortium of conference people who deal with conference tourism. So yes, it is not just Destination Africa. Destination Africa is just one of the players. She is an entity. There are other entities that specialize in that. Yes.
And that's where Kenya's success in really developing this part of the tourism sector is going to grow. If we come together, not as specifically as competitors, but people who want to see a good job done, a job that sells Kenya, and then therefore that attracts more. So the more we partner together, this is your strength, this is my strength, this is your strength, then the more we give this amazing experience. Tourism is about the experience. Conference tourism, if his logistics don't work well, I have an annoyed delegate.
Yes, because they are not picked.
Exactly, they are not picked, and absolutely, and will make your life difficult through the program.
You are the image of Kenya. So
yes.
like, if you are good to me, I will think all Kenyan people are very good. If you are bad to me, I will think all Kenyans are like that.
Yeah, and if his experience is good in the hotel, in the transfer from the airport, tomorrow he wakes up a very happy delegate, willing to present his paper, and I have a good program. Because as conference organizer, for me, it's to bring that paper program alive in the venue. If he's angry, it's not going to happen.
And if I don't pick him in the evening, he has had a good conference, again the day is messed.
It's messed. Then he comes back to complain to me.
You have to think so many things.
But we also go a step further, and you know, as a consortium, now you brought up that, whether it's just one about Destination Africa. What we've gone is even go 3 years ahead. We plan together, we come together, we say, I am a logistics person. You do the actual event. There's the fundraising or the PR company, and we help those people trying to get conferences into Kenya. We say, we're going to go with you to bid for that conference.
Yes.
We help you so that we show people how we're going to take care of them in terms of the logistics side.
Okay. I will read one more SMS. Are there adequate tourism conference facilities in the country?
I'll say a bit, she'll say a bit. Are there adequate conference tourism? One of the things that we've done for the last 2 years, we've been doing a research and building up basically a portal on conference tourism.
Okay.
Right now, across the country, we literally have at the tip of our hands all the conference facilities in Kenya. And yes, there are conference facilities in Kenya. Adequate, there's still room. Because I will not say adequate, because Mombasa, I would like to see a Kenyatta Conference Center equivalent in Mombasa.
Okay, just hold on, please. You know, Sophia, today is like they have so many things to tell. It's like, now I'm very confused and I need to take a rest shortly. You know, I want to receive messages from you. Not only just message, I want to know your name too, because I want to say hi to you. You can send message with your name and your location. We'll be right back after short break. Welcome back to Women's View. We're talking about conference tourism. I think it's very special. It's different from just normal tour, tourism. And then especially we are talking about Kenya, and you are living in beautiful country, even me. And then when we work, when we have a conference in Kenya, and then they introduce that some other things we can enjoy, and then we can enjoy especially beautiful nature of this country. And maybe we have many questions we share, and still we have something to share with you. First, I want to ask you one thing. Do we have facilities to support conference in Kenya?
Yes.
Apart from KICC.
Oh, okay.
Yes and no. I think KICC is there, but it's not enough. Because many times we are currently with a situation where we've got to postpone a conference because KICC is already booked, and it goes by the numbers. I'm currently looking for a very good venue for 2013 with 1,500 people, and KICC will not manage that.
Oh.
So then you stress out the other hotels. So yes, the potential is there, and it's interesting. Kenya has to think that people are now asking about it. And this particular conference, Kenya has won the bid over Greece. But now here we are like, will we really manage to pull it off in Nairobi?
But also, when it comes to conferencing, it's not just about the thousands of people. It's the hundreds of people coming for a conference. You have 300, 200, 100. So it is also outside Nairobi, not just about Nairobi.
Absolutely.
And Mombasa. There's conferencing in the bush. How many people know that place like Shaba, for example, in Shaba Game Reserve, Shaba Lodge has a good facility. What about like Mara Serena? Amboseli Serena. All these facilities have conferencing. So it's not just about meeting in Nairobi. Take them out in the bush, have a conference, uninterrupted, go for a game drive at 4 o'clock. Even the government bodies and government heads of department, they're always going to Mombasa. Why Mombasa every time? Cost. Go out into the bush. These people have never even been on safari, some of them. So take them there and open up the country.
I want to visit Mombasa so much. I heard
You haven't been to Mombasa in 5 months?
Talk to us.
I haven't been to Mombasa in 26 years.
Oh dear.
You are too much.
You need help.
Typical Kenyan. Typical Kenyan.
I forgot. I wanted to say something.
Okay, as you think, I'll ask
Okay, you ask.
Okay, like for the leisure tourism,
Yes.
it always booms like during the holidays and stuff. That's when people come into Kenya, they want to go see this and this and this. I'm looking at the conference tourism. It's a busy thing. So I'm wondering, okay, when do you guys are like, the business is booming, people are now many, when do you have your wow time?
Conference tourism tends to pick up slowly in the year. So January, February, there'll be literally, you can count them on half a hand. January, February, March, it begins to pick up. But our peak period, strangely enough, is September.
Whoa.
September, October is absolutely
Towards
boom
the
time.
end of the year, people are making new resolutions for them.
That's
next
one
year.
thing, but believe it or not, the migration has a big role to play in that. So we tend to attract people so that they can actually go to the Masai Mara after that. But you also get to the sense like, we're in our 4th quarter. We haven't had the conference we talked about. So people actually tend to do a lot of that. Maybe also because of the work plans, that the end of one financial year, the end of one work plan year, and then when we go with the foundations, especially the budget years, they like this period of September, October,
And of course, companies
November.
have different budgets.
And then
Then you come into the companies one of November, December. But Kenyan companies will hold the workshops, the seminars, their smaller conferences throughout the year. And July is a favorite.
I told you, the Kenyan people, they love conference.
They do indeed. Yeah. And
so-
another thing, remember the weather is fantastic. And our time zones, IT-wise, anybody can get in touch with anyone in Kenya at any time.
And
So
anytime,
we're very good at that. So that also attracts anyone.
Technology.
And
Because it's very good advantage. That's why Kenya is developing very much. in
exactly. The
tourism.
IT is driving it, that's
And now,
for sure.
like when we had the dark time during the post-election violence, like the tourism on the side of leisure was a bit affected because people couldn't come in. Like you people, do you receive any setbacks at times with the whole of conference tourism and stuff?
Not so much again, because I think the country settled down by February, March, and again that's when people began to hold them. There's a way in which March begins the year in earnest for conference tourism, and for us that particular year we were still able to. Again, the key question will be security, but once you downplay it, but you ensure you have everything in place, then they are happy to take care of it.
And all said, unfortunately, nobody wants to see images of somebody cutting the other and chasing and stoning the other. So, yes, conference tourism may not have been hit as much as leisure, but also on the other side of the coin is that we did lose one or two large conferences. The IPU, International Postal Union, which had been bid 4 years before, planning, was cancelled. You know, so we lost that. Of course, the next one was already gone to another country. Now, when you look at losing such a conference, which was going to stay here was staying here for 6 to 8 nights, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
So that was a big loss. So you know, we had.
You at times receive setbacks. Like
yes,
oh, yes, indeed.
And the blow with the cancellation of a conference is so major. Because you know it's not like cancelling two clients.
Early preparations for that.
And it's
you have to prepare
many people,
things.
thousands
Absolutely.
of people.
And it's not just that. I remember once we cancelled a conference because one of our ministers on a news broadcast said that, yeah, of course Kenya is not safe. Unfortunately, that particular conference was for world editors and media owners globally.
And they watched
How
it.
much effect did that have on the country? Because we cancelled that conference, 600-700 people, but these are newspapers and media houses who then told the story to their countries. So Kenya lost a lot more in that year. So it isn't just about post-election. It's also things like that, careless things that get us in trouble.
We need to be more patriotic.
Yes.
In terms of what we tell the rest of the
So
world.
no matter what happens, we just
Domestic affairs remain domestic affairs.
patriotic.
We should not always
Think
be
Kenya,
so negative.
positive Kenya.
Yeah.
You know, we have a summer question. I want to read another message. Is there a form of wide Kenya-based tourism conference set in place?
Is there a form of wide-based? I think there's some wording that is not correct in that question, because that question is there's something that
You're
is not.
experienced people, so you can
Trust me,
understand.
that question, even if I translate in French, it's sometimes something is missing because it does not.
Hi, I'm Charles Gituku from Nairobi. Hi, I wanted to know, do you have a business conferences where business advisors come to talk in the meetings, and how can I join you?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question, and I think that's the way forward in this industry. You know, conference tourism does not have a professional body like the other players, like in the tourism industry. In my younger days, I used to be the chairman of KETO, Kenya Association of Tour Operators. That is a group of tour operators coming together. People who deal with conferencing tourism may not have come together, but that is something that is now in the formation. When that is formed, we then do our own seminars, our own training, because we realize we have to bring ourselves together. And that is where that will fit in, because it is various stakeholders, me with my background in logistics, the other one in events, and we all come together. So that may not formally be there through a structured setup, but that is what is now in the pipeline.
So, and it's very important. I really like that question because in as much as Kenya is putting up the facilities in terms of bed capacity and meeting rooms, without the soft skills, without training Kenyans to actually handle, to think like a delegate, to be able to handle every single need and to think through, conferencing teaches you to have a personal attention to detail. At every one moment, you must have that. And women are very good at this. But at the same time, you keep the big picture. So until we really have to do that, I have a bee in my bonnet about all these facilities going up without the soft skills, the business skills, the people skills, the communication skills that must go with conferencing. So I really like what Githinji is saying because that brings it to the fore that it is important that we start doing this.
But such questions are what will lead us to creating that facility.
Absolutely.
So keep it up, Githinji.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yes.
I have a personal question for you. Do you ever carry your family?
To conferences?
Yeah, like when there's these big things, do you ever carry them? Like, do you benefit personally?
I think during
At the
conference,
end.
she'll just forget about her
I
family.
actually forget about them.
Working, it's work.
Because I work, you know, I remember doing a conference in Arusha and I was sleeping 2 a.m. and back at the conference room at 7. If I had the family there, they really wouldn't see me. But at the end of it, sometimes I do ask them to tag along, to come in at the end. But also my children have grown and they've got very good IT skills. So when I'm stuck before, because you work literally 24/7, then they do help in a lot of
There's a reason why I asked that. Now, you people organize these conferences in Kenya. Now you brought about something else. Like when, let's say, we are from Britain and we want to have a conference maybe on about medicine. Now, who am I supposed to call and ask what? Do I choose that I want to have it in KICC? Or now, like you said, sometimes you have it in Tanzania, Arusha. Do we say, like, now take us to Arusha or something? How do you do the whole thing?
how do you, in other words, how do those people sitting in Britain get to know where to go for that conference? And, and it's a good question, because I think there's my secretariat, okay, I'm talking Greek now, because these are not mice like rats. Mice is it's abbreviation of meetings, incentives, conferences, and events. That's what we are all about. There's a secretariat that has been put in place. There's a marketing body that is being put in place, which will be doing that. But what we've done, even as that is being done, we said we've got to run. With the private sector, we are the ones who benefit from it. Is come together and formed a platform for people to see that information. Right now, we have availability of information of every conference facility in Kenya. So somebody sitting in Britain just need to Google and pull out and say, what if I wanted to go to Kisumu? What facilities are there?
Yeah, what kind
and
of programs will be there for your conference?
And the facilities, how many people, which hotels, what do you do in the evening, what do you do the day after?
It's easy to get the information of conference.
It's an information.
Myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can get that. You can get that. And in fact, we are still building that up so that anyone sitting can say, I am not going to KCC. I want to go somewhere else that can accommodate my numbers. We have the information is very well summarized. With this capacity, this facility has this number of people. It can accommodate this number of people. It has these facilities, and then those doctors in Britain.
She talked about Arusha. I want to see how that comes in. Like, can you have it also outside the country?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, the Arusha conference was held during December 2007. And because Kenya as a country was so busy electioneering, people never actually got back to the organizers to say, yes, you can have our venues, and yes, we will work with you. So that's how we ended up in Arusha, but organized everything from Nairobi.
We're not just about Kenya.
No, no.
If you look for Conference Juba, the domain is it's part of us.
You know, now I want to talk about that. Now, like, of course, we want to develop our own country, but these days it's a global,
Yes.
So we have to work globally.
Yes.
So anything, but this work, conference tourism, you have to work globally. So just now he said, you are not doing only for Kenya, right? It's Eastern Africa. And now I just hope that after East Africa, like all over the world, it should be like that.
Yes, but we like to be focused. We're based in East Africa. We can partner with other people because this job is about partnering.
Okay.
We will partner with other people, but we are good in East Africa because this is our where we know the place inside out. And with conference tourism, you need to work in an environment where you know people, where you need people to help you. You need to really be. You've got to have hands on.
And to add on to your question about the organization in Britain that has this, usually we actually just get an email. It says, we would like to hold a conference in Nairobi. What options do you have? And it's good because a lot of these associations and have someone in Kenya, have a contact person in Kenya, and that's the way they reach out to us. That's one. Two, the good thing about conference tourism is it's not a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's a repeat business. So you came to Kenya for a conference a couple of years back, a few months ago. You want to come back, so you sell it to your organization, to your association, to your group of friends, and then they organize it. And
though I'm foreigner, I can advertise of Kenya to other people. I think
please do.
Oh, I'm doing that. I always do that, What do we need to do to boost the conference tourism? What do you think of it? Maybe we can discuss for this for this.
I think one of the things that we need to do is up the facilities, improve on the facilities. If you build it, they will come. We have good weather. So build conference facilities. Train people. We are trained, but we are not yet fully trained well enough to really, we can be trained further.
And then you have to train like another you, right?
And even as we keep on wanting to be trained.
Of course, you have to update.
You got to train that. And then you got to have the policies in place, the environment, the enabling environment from the government. And above all, we ourselves as the players need to sort our act together and come together in an umbrella body that can engage the government as one. You see, if we come together as players in the conference tourism, we can then engage the government and say, this is the help we need, this is what we need, this is what we need. When you do those things, we'll be smiling.
Yeah, and I think that's very right. The government providing the policy framework that allows us to operate, but then also looking out into the private sector to all these people who have had some experience, and we know one another. For example, conference organizing is not the same as event organizing. It's a very specialized skill. But if you look out for those professionals and different people and companies who have identified that niche and developed it very well, then you sell Kenya as a brand. So for me, it's also market, but don't just market the cliches, the Maasai, don't just market the beaches, market this other bit that says Kenya is a business hub, and this business hub also concentrates on you people coming together as professionals.
And now you're speaking about that, I'm thinking the government, obviously, I've heard that they have these, maybe they've allocated funds or something for the tourism sector. Like most probably it's majorly on the entertainment side of it. But you're talking about the conference, like tourism, not even many people know about it. The government, like, is it helping out enough for that? Because do you have like maybe any funds allocated for especially the conference tourism? Because to me, like, I hear you speaking, you like host the big fish from other countries, the top cream of people. But how does the government also help you out in maybe just helping out these people?
One of the things the government has done is, of course, has worked on the tourism bill, which I think has gone through Parliament as it is. And that also is towards that direction. And I think we would need then to be able to develop it in such a way that other people come into the, have a say in it, in making it happen. Yeah, making it happen.
But that being said, what you've said, the promotion that people have known is about Kenya Tourism Board's promotion of leisure travel. Now there's a difference. Conference tourism is not promoted by KTB. KTB, of course, plays a role to support. There's actually a secretariat which has been put by the government and which is being funded by government. It's just that our government is not always very good at blowing its own trumpet. They're actually doing a lot to market conference tourism. Conference tourism is marketed through specialized bodies, not just like tourism, leisure tourism. There's IMEX taking place in Frankfurt and in Las Vegas. Government actually supports and sends people to market.
But do you like benefit more from the private sector than the government or something?
We private sector have to do more than that. The government never has enough to market the country, not even for leisure.
If you Google conferences in Africa right now, you'll see bookings in South Africa up to 2014, 2015. But if you Google the same for Kenya, you just have maybe 2012. That's it.
The private sector has to take the lead in this.
You know, like when I listen the word tour, like travel somewhere, it's just so excited. And then I never imagined that just conference tourism would make me so excited, because conference tourism, just word is like just working. But I realized that it's a really exciting work, and I really envy you. You are doing a very great job. And now to our viewers, if you say something to encourage them, if you say last word to them, I will be really grateful to you for this show.
He's very patriotic. His tie is all about elephants.
Okay.
That's
Emma, you start first.
We really have the potential as Kenya to grow the conference tourism sector. The thing I think is for the private sector to get more involved in it, not to look at one another as competitors, but to first sell Kenya, and then when everything comes, we can all grow. And the skills, just train Kenyans and don't manage.
Okay.
Mine will be simple. I want Kenyans to benefit from tourism, and not only tourism, but conference tourism. The one thing I'll tell Kenyans, you know, I look at them and I say, don't be spectators. If you have a nice home in Nairobi, homestays is a very, very common thing in all over the world. You have a beautiful home in Ridgeways, Runda, or Riverside, and your kids have grown, convert it into a nice facility that can be used by tourism. No, trust me, that is when people now will appreciate the beauty of tourism, because I've always been saying, let tourism benefit everyone. And that's where Kenyans need to come in and know that tourism benefits everyone, and it's not an elitist.
You know, I can summarize everything. I can say in one sentence, karibuni sana. Okay, we enjoyed so much even today. Thank you for joining us. And I hope our viewers also have a wonderful day. And then you can say to everyone confidently, karibuni sana to Kenya. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Starting in my heart without you.